Live with the community. This is the Microsoft Power Platform Community Call. Welcome everybody to August 2022. My goodness, how has the year gone by so fast? Today is August 17th. I will be your host, David Warner, Community Program Manager with Microsoft. Let's take a look at our fantastic voyage we're going to take today. We're going to look at the latest updates on news and Power Platform information. We're going to see a monthly community tip. This is a new segment by Todd Baginski, so we're excited about that to feature and profile our amazing community contributors. We'll have a group picture time. And then we're going to get to our all-stars of the day. Mary is going to cover using Forms and Power Automate to upgrade your customer onboarding experience. Darren is going to show us how building a timesheet canvas app using Dataverse. And welcome back, Hugo Bernier, our community program manager for Power Pages. He's going to show us how to connect Power Pages to your Dataverse data. So we have lots of information to cover today, and we are so excited. Now, the first thing we wanted to remind you is that every single one of you is welcome to demo on this call. We welcome everyone. This is your call. And so we want you to absolutely be part of it. And you can do that. We've made it very easy. In fact, we've got a nice little form for you to fill out. aka.ms/PPCC demo request will allow you to provide the information of what you'd like to present, a little title, a little description. We'll reach out to you and get it set up. Again, everyone is welcome. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It doesn't have to be like this amazing flux capacitor that makes time travel possible. No, we want you to share what you found useful in your career and use of the product and the platform. So don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to provide that information. We would love to see you get more involved. Now, we also have a number of Power Platform samples, and we're going to invite April Dunham to walk us through the last month's collection of samples.
Thank you, David. We have a lot of great samples this last month. We have for Power Apps, Canvas Apps, a progress bar component sample from Lisa Fries. So really cool use of custom visuals inside of your Power Apps. We have a Twitter connection application for Power Apps from Llama. This is a really good use case of how to integrate with the Twitter connector to not only view tweets, but post tweets as well. We have on the Power Automate side, a Git term store from your SharePoint term store from Raman. So again, really great use case there with Power Automate and the integration with SharePoint and the term store management. And then I'm super excited that I think we have what I believe is our first Power Virtual Agents sample out there for a SharePoint site creation bot from Michael Mendez. So really excited that we're seeing more samples across the entire Power Platform stack. So if you have any Power Virtual Agents samples, Power BI, apps or Automate, make sure to go to aka.ms/Power Platform-samples and get those submitted, and we will highlight them in the next call. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, April. And yeah, we need a little round of applause for everybody, right? That's fantastic. And if you're wondering, well, hey, how in the world can I actually contribute to those samples? Well, we got you covered. Sharing is Caring is a program that has been out for quite a long time, but it may be new to you in the Power Platform space. It is an opportunity for you to learn in live, hands-on, safe space opportunities. So these are sessions that are going to provide that hands-on experience in a safe space, meaning that we don't record it. We work along with members of Microsoft, the MVP community, other people within the community. Everyone who would like to contribute is welcome. We've had a number on this call, in fact, that I've seen join this session, these sessions, learn how to traverse, for example, GitHub. I would love to submit a sample, but I'm really not sure what a pull request is, or how do I fork, or what in the world is that? So these sessions are set up to provide you that hands-on guidance. We're going to walk you through. It's not just a video you watch. We actually perform the pull request, the submission of a sample right alongside with you. And so you're all welcome. We're going to have, in fact, a live Sharing is Caring session at the Microsoft Power Platform Conference in September. So if you are going to attend that and want to join everyone in a live session for Sharing is Caring, it's going to be the first of its kind in person. So we're really, really excited about that. So don't hesitate to sign up. We've got a number of folks that have done it. I see Lindsay, I see Lewis, a number of folks that have attended and have then started contributing on a number of levels. So feel free to ask them if they would provide any information for you. I know it can still be kind of scary, but we're here to assist you. So don't hesitate. We've got some more sessions coming up soon on the schedule. Now, what happens once you have submitted a sample? Well, we want to recognize you. So the recognition program, community recognition program, has been set up by the community for the community. This is an official program that provides accredited and official badges that can be associated to your LinkedIn profile. They're powered by Credly, so you may recognize that name. Yes, you should if you've gotten Microsoft certified, because it's the same badging mechanism that you get those badges for when you submit or a certificate. And so don't hesitate. It is absolutely free to sign up for. We cover all the costs, and we've got a number of badge opportunities, and we're having even more coming soon. We have things like Power Contributor, Independent Publisher Connectors, Sharing is Caring. If you presented on the call, which Darren and Mary will earn today, we are so excited to recognize you and formalize all the contributions that you're doing. And so it's a great way for you to show that your managers, show your clients that you're involved in making a difference in the community. You only need to register once, absolutely only once, year after year, and we'll continue to track you. So don't hesitate. All right, let's talk about some upcoming events. Well, one that is ongoing that you always want to be aware of is the Low Code Revolution show. This is hosted by April, our newest principal at Microsoft. So congratulations, April. She is going to be also at the Power Platform Conference, so we look forward to that. But she also hosts the Low Code Revolution show. So this is a fantastic way to learn from others in the community. It highlights stories from industry experts and the ways that they are using the Power Platform. So we don't want you to miss out on that. And in fact, coming up next month, what is there? Some event, I think maybe, oh yes, the Power Platform Conference in September in Orlando. Everyone is looking forward to this. It is going to be the first Power Platform on this stateside conference as this scale in quite some time. And so we're looking forward to getting everyone there. If you haven't registered, it's not too late. There are so many people going. There's so many sessions. The number of speakers directly from Microsoft, by the way, I think we got them wet or fed them after midnight, because it is just multiplying like gremlins, in a good way, though. Don't worry, they won't try to take over your life. But don't hesitate, powerplatformconf.com. And in fact, if you happen to look at the calendar and said, it's funny, the community call happens to land on the same week as the Power Platform Conference. And you'd be right. And we're going to do it live at the conference. So we've got a session reserved just for the Power Platform Conference. If you can't attend, don't worry. We're still gonna spin up teams. We'll probably have we will have a camera in there so you can see everybody in the room. And we're going to do it live, and our presenters will be live. So if you're attending the conference and you would like to present, reach out. Let us know. This is going to be a really awesome, again, first of its kind, in fact. So we've got a lot of firsts going on at the conference that we're really, really excited about. And we want you to be part of it. So if you're attending the conference and you would like to present at the Power Platform community call, let us know. Let us know. We are very, very excited. And don't worry, the time doesn't change, by the way. We were very specific in ensuring that we had a session slot that matches the exact time that it already takes place. So we're super excited about that. Now, but wait, there's more. If you call now, we are announcing the MPPC Community Give Back Program. So let me just take a moment and explain what this is. You all have amazing stories, and you have given so much to this community that we wanted to give back. So this is your opportunity. If you've not already got your ticket, or perhaps the cost was a little too high and you're not able to go, this is your opportunity to tell us your story. Tell us about how you got started in the Power Platform community, why you'd love to attend the Power Platform Conference. What was your favorite contribution in the community this year? We have a limited number of passes that we're going to be providing to the community. Now, this is just passes. It's not the full, kit and caboodle. It's not travel and hotel and all that, but it is a pass, which is quite costly. And it's going to be an amazing event. And so it's a great, fantastic savings. Now, there are a limited amount. And so you can learn more about this program and what you need to do to submit your story. You can submit it via video, which is what we request, actually, because it gives us a little bit more opportunity to get to know you. But if you don't do a video, you can also provide it via text, and you can absolutely do that. If you watch the video, aka.ms MPPC Give Back video, it will describe what it is we're looking for. And then it'll also provide you a link to the form that you'd fill out to submit your video as well, or provide it via text. So again, we are so grateful for all that you all do in this community, and we just wanted a small way to give back to the community. So don't hesitate to take advantage of that. All right, let's get into our monthly community tips. I'm going to hand it over to Todd Baginski to give us a little tip.
All right, thank you, David. This month, in the monthly community quick tip segment, I'm excited to share a tip from Matthew Devaney. So I reached out to Matt about this. I don't see him on the call yet today, but he knows we're presenting it today. So the tip is how to remove duplicate rows and collections with only one line of code. So when I saw this on Twitter, I was like, well, this has got to be too good to be true. So here we go. To provide you an example, first, we create a collection with duplicate rows. You can see I've done that here. The collection is bound to the gallery you see on the left side of the screen here. Here you can see the Ford F-150 and the GM Yukon are duplicate rows in this collection. So here's our magic one line of code. Then we use one line of code to create a new collection that does not contain any duplicates. In this example, the gallery on the right side of the screen is bound to the My Solution collection that does not contain the duplicate rows. So here's how it works. The distinct function returns a one-column table of unique values for the field. When we use this record, you can see that highlighted there as well. Instead of a column name, it results in returning a one-column table of unique records. Then, when we loop over the one-column table using a for all, it extracts the rows back into a multiple column table. So that's it. That's how you can get rid of duplicate rows in a collection with one line of code. You can learn more about that on Matthew's blog, and the link is right there. And if you've got your own quick tip to share, please reach out to us and submit your idea. I'd love to present it on the next call. Thanks, everybody. Back to you, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, Todd. And thank you, Matt, as well, for allowing us to use that tip. All right, everybody. What time is it? Picture time. So if you would like to show the community how awesome you are by waving, then turn on your camera and I will move over. Everybody's there. All right, good, good. Let's get into together mode here. Looking fantastic, everyone. Let me start the recording or get it started up here. All right. Excellent. Okay, we got a few seats left. Anybody want to? All right, I see those cameras cranking on. Y'all look amazing. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, wave to the community, everybody. Awesome. You look fantastic. Great to see so many passionate community contributors. Really appreciate all that you do. So thank you so much. All right. Now, let's move on to our rock stars of the day. So our first of 3 presenters is going to be Mary Myers. She's going to present on using forms and Power Automate to upgrade your customer onboarding experience. Mary, take it away.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me today. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Great. So today I'm excited to share with you guys what I consider the proper way to actually onboard your customers, right? We're going to use a combination of forms and Power Automate to really upgrade that experience for you. A little bit about me first before we get started. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Myers. That's my son there in the picture. I'm super obsessed with him. So if you follow me on any social media, you'll understand that that's a major thing. I currently live in Bradenton, Florida. I love the weather. I can't complain. Most of my free time that's not spent, in the tech community is either going to be on the football field or playing golf. I've been in the tech industry only for 4 years, and I like to kind of point that out because for anyone else that's on this call that's really new in their journey, they don't come from a tech industry or background, and you're wondering, do I have a space here? You do. I promise you do. If I can do it, you can do it as well. So that's what I'd like to share. What I'm currently doing, so I run my own company. I like to say that I'm a product of the community, showing up to different community calls and learning and growing. I've actually been able to start my own business where I help small businesses use the Power Platform where we create apps to digitalize their experience. So this customer onboarding is what I use a lot of times and see a lot of really happy customers with it. So I want to make sure that I shared it with everyone else. And of course, I just really love working with SMBs. It's one of my passions. All right, so I don't ever like to make assumptions, right? Maybe we know what customer onboarding is, or maybe we don't. So I figured I would just kind of break it down real quick, right? So customer onboarding, that's whenever you're taking the customer, right? We're past the sales process. They've already agreed to buy our product or service, whatever, right? But we still have to collect payment. We have to get them into our system, right? It doesn't just stop there just because they said that they're excited. This is really where the work begins. It's our opportunity to really shine as a company, right? To say that the buck doesn't just stop at the sales. Because I don't know about y'all, but the worst thing is when your sales department really oversells, or even as your customer, right? And your sales guy tells you one thing, or your salesperson tells you one thing, right? And then you agree to that. And then whenever you get started, it's really not what you expected, right? Everything was nice and professional in the beginning, but now everything starts to fall apart. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is talking about, and it just really is a messy experience. So it's really important to really make sure that that's really professional all the way through, because I don't know about you, but I just expect excellence from start to finish. And so that's kind of what customer onboarding is, right? It's taking them from the sales point to into your system to how are they going to work with you on a day-to-day standpoint. And that's what customer onboarding is. Every company may have a different experience, but at the end of the day, we need to collect some information from your customer and get it into a system. It's really that easy, but people like to make it a lot more difficult. So some of the problems that we typically see in customer onboarding is that people are using a really inefficient process, right? I've seen all kinds of crazy things, but it usually revolves something around sending an email after somebody said that they were going to, buy something. Then we start with a series of emails. What's your name? Or, maybe you're gathering their name from the email, but you still need to clarify like what their address is, because if you just assume that it's the address in the block, right, you're going to get some wrong information. So it's going to be inaccurate if you make assumptions. Or maybe you asked the wrong person for the information and they gave you the old billing address and you need the new billing address, right? So you're going to have all these processes, a bunch of emails, or you sent them an email and you asked them 5 questions, but they only answered 3. So you don't have a complete information. You're going to have to go back and email them back and forth. And maybe you got something wrong and crossed over. It's just a really inefficient process. Also, when you need to have complex processes, I'm currently working with a customer that, depending on what type of new employee or new customer that they're bringing in, there's a series of different business process events that need to happen. If you're having all of these emails go back and forth and you can't even manage the emails to get the contact information in, what does the rest of your business process look like, right? After they're in the system, you probably need some additional documents from them. Do you need a W-9? Do you need to send them some health insurance information, right? Like, this is just the beginning. Do they need training? Do they already have certifications? There's all of these different things that really need to be managed and are really important in getting that person up and going really quickly. But if you can't even get the first part started, you can't get the rest of it. So these outdated processes make it really inadequate. And it really causes a lot of issues with your business as well, right? So like I mentioned before, it's your first interaction with this customer post the sale. It's your opportunity to say, we're a real company, or we got you and we tricked you in the sales process. So I always just encourage everyone to decide what type of company they are, but to me, it's a really level set right there for you as a business. Also, with all of these inaccuracies, you're really going to have a negative impact on your cash flow. If you don't have the right information, right, to bill your customer, how are you going to get that, right? It's usually going to happen whenever you send the first invoice. You're way past, the 30 days. If you have net 30 days, right, it's probably day 45. And you're like, hey, are you ever going to pay this invoice? And then they're like, oh, I didn't get the invoice. What email address did you send it to, right? And you find out you don't have the right email address because your process was wrong. So now they're thinking that your 30-day billing process starts now. So you really have a really ineffective or a negative impact on your ROI or your cash there. Also, you just don't have the functionality. You don't have the ability. Apparently, I don't have the ability to finish a sentence, but you also don't have the ability to really just automate the rest of your process or scale. So it's really important to kind of keep those things in mind. However, I don't really like to just have problems. I'm more of a solution type of person. So that's why I have this solution that I've been working with many of my customers and want to share with y'all as well. It's really just using Microsoft Forms and Power Automate, right? And then you can connect it to any other ERP system. Today, we're going to do a quick look at just throwing it into Dataverse, because Dataverse is going to be backed by CRM or you can make, any other Power App off of it. But what I do on my day-to-day business and what I have set up, because I use Business Central, right, as my ERP system, but you can also connect this to F&O. It doesn't matter, right? Like the beginning part is agnostic to whatever system you want to connect it to. And since we're using the Power Platform, right, what you're going to connect it to is an endless opportunities. So then what we have from a business success standpoint is you're going to have this really nice, seamless professional experience from start to finish, right? You're going to know that it's going to continue to automate itself. Your customers are going to see this nice professional experience from the beginning all the way through the end. Whenever you're having these forms, digitalized, it's just more common, especially in this post-COVID era. We're now gathering data in a digital format. We shouldn't be sending, in my opinion, at least, Word file attachments, PDF attachments, right? There's too many other different ways to do it. I see a note here that just came in that says CE, BC, and F&O. What are those? I would have to have somebody do a fact check on me to see if what we're currently calling the CRM system CE. I think it is, but basically it's just that, repository of where our customers are at. It's what a lot of customers are using just to track those different things. BC is going to be the acronym for Business Central. That's the small enterprise ERP system, and then F&O is going to be that larger system. These are just additional systems that people are going to load their customers into, right? So third-party systems that we attach to. So great. Also, right, so whenever we're doing this, one of the good things is that you're going to be able to build your customer base really quickly, and you're going to increase your cash flow. I'm going to jump to the demo because I feel like I'm taking up time, and I want to make sure that everyone has enough time. Let me switch screens from what I'm sharing. So I'm going to show you, we're going to build it first real quick, or I'm going to show you how to build it, and then I'm going to show you kind of how it works. So first we have to log back in. So here we have just a basic form, right? Now, this is what I built out of Microsoft Forms. If you're not familiar with this, it's really easy. You just come in your apps and you'll see it right here, and then you can build whatever form you want. So each one of these blanks or each one of these fields will then give you dynamic content on the back side, right? So I just have this form. I've got information that you typically are asking. And again, you can customize this form for whatever your purposes need. That's the really beautiful thing about it, right? And then your customers, they're going to see something nice and professional like this, right? Where they're going to enter all of their information. And then that's when we're really going to get to work here. So let's go ahead and just create one from the beginning. I'm going to do what's called an automated flow, right? So let's set this up. I know I'm trying to go pretty fast, but let me level set real quick. So you're going to start with a form, which is in here. You can customize these however you want. If you're familiar with forms, this makes sense. If you're not familiar with forms, I highly recommend that you check them out. They're super versatile that you can use in anything, I think, in your experience, right? So check them out first. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you scale up here really quickly. So you have your form. Then what we're going to do is we're going to build a flow of when a new response is submitted. Now, this is going to be an automated flow because we're looking for whenever a response comes in, we want this to automatically happen. So we'll go ahead and select this and hit create. Now, this is going to give you a drop-down menu of all your different forms. Now, if you look here, I reuse forms all the time, so I have lots of them. Now, I happen to know that this new client information one is the one that I have. As you can see here, it even matches that. So it's really nice to be able to line that out. Now, the next step that I'm going to do is I need to go ahead and get the information from this form, right? Just because it happened doesn't mean we have the information. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the response details, and it's super easy because I'm just going to line up this form ID to match this one, right? This happened, so I want the information from that. And then by default, I'm going to grab this ID that came from this unique response. So from here, you can add this information into any system, right? what we'll do for really easy purposes right now is we'll just do Dataverse and I'll do add a new row. I'm simply going to select the account that I want, or I'm sorry, the table that I want. And for our purposes here, I'm just going to use account because that makes the most sense, right? Now, again, if we look at here, I have access to all of these fields, right, to add into my flow. So what we're going to do here, I want to call the account name. We'll just call this the company name, right? I'm sorry, the contact name. Then now we have city. I think I've got city in here. Yep. We got a street address. We got a street address, zip code. And as you can see here, I'm just lining this out with some information. Let's see what else here. Now, again, because this is in Dataverse, think about this. You could create a table, a custom table for whatever you want and just line out your information. This is a lot of stuff. I'm not going to fill all of this out. We're just going to kind of see what we have here, right? Okay. Now, honestly, that's as simple as a flow that you need to get started with. What I want to do is, well, we'll just do it here. I had a fancy, well, hold on, let me get this code. So again, if you've not used forms, they're super easy. This is how you get a code. Okay, y'all go ahead and click this code. Or I'm sorry, if you have your phone, take out your phone and scan this. And what this will allow you to do, this will bring up that Microsoft form. Go ahead and fill out the information, you know, however much you want to fill out, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, I'll go ahead and close this, make the assumption. And what I like to do here, we'll save this. Again, with forms, these are pretty cool. In a second, you'll see, yep, see the responses are coming in nicely. Yep, they're coming in. You can see what's cool. I use this all the time. So it gives me all the different people, right? You can see the different kind of customers and stuff that I work with. But any one of these, you know, forms kind of work like this. So, oh, we've got lots of people here today. So what this is going to show, right? Hopefully it's going to show, oh, good. I would have been really sad, y'all, if this showed a bunch of fails. So we see a bunch of successes, right? What does that mean? Well, now I don't have this table locked anywhere basically, or like loaded in an app. But what we do have is, if I just come over here to where I have it here in, this is just make, right? Let me show you where we're at. So I'm at make.powerapps.com, right? So our traditional here, and then I'm coming down into here. I'm just going into our tables and I'm taking a look at account, right? Just kind of going back to where it was at. And as you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of new people that have been added, 85 additional rows. And this is everyone that is onboarding themselves right now, right? So just imagine that if this was your customer instead. Now, for example, you probably hear all this clinging going on in the background, and that is because I forgot to turn off my personal flow. I'll show you what it's doing in the background. A couple different things. You see here, I've got all of these customer requests. I'm going to have some declining to do later, but that's okay. And what I have, like, this is a simple process, right? A very simple one that we've looked at. But taking a quick look at something more complex, for example, is what I use in my day-to-day business. So for me, whenever I have a new customer come in, I want them to sign an MSA. I want to get them into my Business Central system, right? Because I can't bill them if they're not in there. And I don't want to grab all that information later. Again, I want to look like a nice professional business running through all day long. So again, you see, this is the first step of what we had before. When a new response is submitted, go ahead and get the details. And then what I do first here is I send it through an approval process for everyone that's approved. You know, oops, come on. If it gets approved, I create a record in my Business Central. Same thing that we did in Dataverse, right? But for me, this makes it more relevant because this is my ERP system. So you can connect this to any ERP system or anything that your customer, right, needs to put it into. And then on the other side, I also continue to use that form, and I use it to populate a contract, right? And then I save it into SharePoint and convert that to PDF. I then save that file, and you can even use something like e-signature, or you can use Adobe, or you can use DocuSign, to send that automated contract information to your customer as well. All of that's onboarded, and at the end of the day, what that means is that you are saving your customer time and money as they're onboarding new people, and you have more time to expand and grow your business. So that is my opinion on why you should be using this type of experience for customer onboarding. Yeah, so I think we're probably at time.
Yeah, awesome, Mary. This is really fantastic stuff. I appreciate the simplicity of it and walking through it, making it interactive. That's always fun. Kind of shows firsthand to everyone that's attending the ability to see how their part in it. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Darren, you are up next, building a timesheeting Canvas app using the Dataverse. Feel free to take over.
Thank you very much, Dave. I will share my screen now, start with my slides. So thank you, and I very much appreciate being invited to be able to do this, and looking forward to presenting to you. So first slide, here's all about me, basically. I also had a background in implementing project managing in Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, but changed that a few years ago. Just before the pandemic, I decided to go out on my own, which was not a great time, I should say, to start, and went out on my own with Microsoft 365 and the Power Platform, and have become a consultant with that since then. As you can tell by my accent, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, a long way away, and it's quite early in the morning here, so excuse me if hopefully I don't fall asleep during this presentation. Yeah, so I've had quite a number of years of Power App and Power Automate experience, and I love the Power community. I think I've gotten much more out of it than I've put in, but I'm always trying to give back, and through LinkedIn, Twitter, and I've also got a YouTube account there. And I'm a family man with some grown-up kids, and I really enjoy some good and some very bad science fiction. So let's get stuck into what I'm going to present with you today. So I'm doing this timesheet app. I got a requirements from a client a few months ago to create a timesheet app. They purchased a third-party system, and they didn't want it anymore. I think it was running out of support, and they needed something to replace it. So they came to me and said, "Hey, can you build us a Power App that would just be a timesheeting application?" I said, "Sure." Their general requirements were that they needed to be able to enter time for activities such as projects or the different types of support and the different activities that they have, and they needed to report on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis for both the projects or the activities and the user. And the first thing I did was I went into the PMP community, and I saw this wonderful sample that April Dunham had done, and I thought, oh, great, I can pinch that and I can use that and I'll go for it. Unfortunately, it didn't quite hit the requirements that I needed, but it was a great sample. So what I did was started to think about how I'm going to design this. And I thought the best way was to use the Dataverse, because I could see the growth. The idea with building these apps, I find, is don't just look at the requirement you have now, but look at where you're going to go, where you think it might go. Because if you lock yourself into a data design or a design, you can make some decisions that won't help, that will be hard to grow out of. So I thought, rather than use a SharePoint list, let's use Dataverse. I think that will give me more capability going forward. So I used that, and then I decided to use both a model-driven and a Canvas app. And I'll go through the sample of this in a minute, but the model-driven app was a great way for administration of the functions of this timesheeting. And the Canvas app was great because I could put in some UI and some UX that the users could use quite well. If you're looking for this, I'm about to go through it, but there's a sample I put into the PMP site there. So you can go to that site if you do want the sample that I'm going to show you. It is in there in the GitHub for you to go and use. So I'll jump straight into my demo, and let's see what we can do with it. So let's jump into it. So this is the demo. Now, I must put my hand up and say I'm not the best UI UX, and I'm still learning from a lot of the community members about what is good UI UX. So excuse the colors and some of the functions there, but I will get better at it. And you can clean this app. If you get the sample of this app, this is how it looks, how it feels, and you can use this and recolor it and redo. And I'd love to hear feedback of what people do with it. Maybe you could teach me a thing or two. It's pretty simple to use from a user perspective. So obviously here I've just used a date control here where the person can pick the particular date, which is really handy and really easy to design with. I've got a list of projects that I've put in, and I'll show you how I put those projects there through the administration. So I've got 3 projects that I've added in there. So the user can also put the hours that they've worked, and they can put a comment in here if they want. And quite quickly, obviously, you hit that save, and it saves when it gets going. Yes, it saves it into the record there, and I've got just a nice summary of the week and those particular ones for the day. You can delete the record of the day if you want to, and stuff like that. So, I've made it very simple, and I purposely made it simple, especially for the sample, that you can go and build upon this. And I'll show you where I've taken this shortly after I go through it, of where I've been able to take some of this functionality. So this is the front end. Very simply done. The back end is a mod. So this is a Canvas app. The back end, or the administration side, I've decided to use a model-driven app. So you can see here that in the model-driven app, I've got basically two tables, the projects and the timesheets. So whenever someone is entering a timesheet record in here, it just obviously puts it in the Dataverse and comes here. So you've got the person's name, the date they worked, and the hours. Very easy, very good. What's great about that is you can then do something like, you can either export it to Excel, or I have started to do some Power BI reporting off this. So you can do some really nice Power BI reporting in that as well. And then within that, you could do projects. This is where the projects are created, and you can add the projects in there as well as an administration side. So then when you add a project in here, it would automatically turn up into this drop down here as well. Okay, so it's really simple. All the data is in one or couple of places, but they're all in Dataverse, so it all reads the same way. Kept this really simple in that respect. Let's look a bit behind the scenes of what makes up this. So it's a solution, a Power App solution. So at this stage, it's only got 5 parts to it. So it's obviously got the projects table and the timesheets table, which I showed you before. It's just got the Canvas app and the model-driven app. And because it's got a model-driven app, I've got a site map to go with it too. So just the app there. So it's got 5 simple pieces that make it work there. So it's really, really easy. And the beauty about this is that because I'm in a solution, I can be in a development environment, and now I can export the solution out to a test and a production environment using the application lifecycle management, and that's easy to do as well. So going through from the Canvas app, I'll just very, very briefly show you what makes up the Canvas app. There's not much to it, but just show you the pieces to that. It takes a second to load up. Basically, it's just a few different components to that. Now, when you're demoing, it sometimes takes a bit longer. So as I said, this is just a date picker. There's then a combo box that reads from that table. The hours worked is just a text input, same with the comments. And this is just a gallery, this is a rectangle actually with the different fields and the different, this is a gallery that's in there, and a rectangle with a gallery. This is the gallery, sorry. And this has got the gallery from the records for that particular week. And you can see I've got a filter on there that picks up the different dates and the different times. So as you change dates, I should have showed you before, as you change dates here, if I go to the next week, to the week of the 22nd, then everything changes. So it goes to the next week, and I can add next week in there. So that's why that filter is really, really important, to change those dates and those weeks there as well with that filter and that gallery. So it's one page, really simple in that respect. So that's the one I've got in the sample. I'd like to show you what I've got in the particular. Now I've taken it forward, and I can't show you the back end of this because the clients have paid me to do this, but I can show you this is what it ended up looking like. So what I've got here is the same sort of concept. I've got the date picker, but I've done some fancy things like adding buttons here to make it go to the next day. The activity is still the same, the drop down is still the same, the hours worked are still the same, the comments still the same, right? In fact, I've even got some smarts in here that if I try to do more than 24 hours an hour's work, the save button is now disabled. So you can't do more than 24 hours. So you can do things like that, and I can hit save, and then it will save the record to the particular date, being the 19th eventually. What I've also done is done things like, so there it goes there. I've done things like copy date. So these are all individual galleries. And if I wanted to copy the day of the particular Wednesday, this is just a button that runs another screen over the top of here. I've grayed the background out and put a screen at the top. And you can copy the day of the 17th to the next day, and it copies to that. So there are functions like that that do that. I've got a copy to next week as well. So this is the sort of thing you can start to build up on what I've given you in that respect, you know, taking piece by piece and building up on. And if I tried to do this maybe in other ways, this is not where I saw the app coming. When I first started doing it, there was no requirement to do these copies, but a version 2, they asked for that. So I think it's really important to understand where you think your app might be going. That's the lesson I learned. I have had to take some backward steps because I have had some mistakes where I've designed it badly and had to go backwards to go forwards again. So be very careful when you're designing small apps that they grow and the requirements change. You don't paint yourself in a corner. So that's really it for me. That's the presentation. As I said, if you want to find the sample I gave you before, it's in the PMP community app. There it is there. You can search for Power App for timesheeting, and that's the first sample I showed you earlier. It's all, and the instructions about how it's all put together, and you can find the code in there as well. So thank you very much, Dave. It's back to you.
Darren, thank you. That is rocking it. And by the way, a special thank you for staying up literally in the middle of the night to present. It's 1 a.m. for Darren. So really community dedication there. You are awesome. So thank you so much. All right. Last but not least, Hugo Bernier, connecting Power Pages to your Dataverse data. Awesome. Hugo, take it away.
Yes. Let me share my screen. That's the part I forgot. I knew I was forgetting something. There we go. All right. Well, you know, the 2 previous demos actually show really the value of using good data. But, you know, one thing that I wanted to point out is when you're using Dataverse and model-driven apps, you can connect your model-driven applications and your Dataverse data to a public website that can be authenticated or anonymous. And that's it. That's my demo. Bye. Okay. Let's actually spend a little bit more time. My name is Hugo Bernier. I'm a community program manager for Power Pages. And today we're going to talk about how to connect your data. A little bit more than what my introduction explained. So if you're wondering what is Power Pages, well, you know, so far we've had, you know, 4 products in the Power Platform, you know, they were all, you know, taking all the glory and having all the fun. But if you wanted to extend the reach of your applications, you kind of had to use, you know, Power Apps portals behind the scene inside of your Power Apps. And let's face it, it was not necessarily the most maker-friendly, right? It was super powerful, super secure, you know, super awesome, not necessarily the most maker-friendly. And this is where Power Pages comes in. It takes its rightful place, you know, as in the family. It's now a top, you know, level product, and it does allow people to actually build really cool websites that are authenticated, that connect to data, and in a low-code way. In fact, I have this fancy diagram to show you, which kind of shows some of the capabilities of Power Pages, right? So this is kind of what we used to have with Power Apps Portal, and I guess we still have access to that, right? All things like authentication, authorization, security, you know, and things like that. But with Power Pages, now we're adding kind of a whole new layer of functionality, a true low-code experience, a true pro-dev customization. In fact, I would even venture to say that Power Pages is really the first product that was built from the start with a pro-dev story in the mix, right from the start. And the reason for that, if you think about it, you're actually allowing people to create public websites. So you don't want just people to randomly create websites that expose your internal data. You really want to make sure that you're empowering your makers, but you're also working with the Fusion team, right, with the pro devs and the IT administrators to make sure that you're still respecting, you know, all the regulatory governance and compliance, all the security and everything. There's out-of-the-box solution templates, and I'll show you one of them, and an extensible data model, which is going to be the focus of our call today. And I kind of like to be cheeky a little bit, but Power Pages is really powered by Power Apps portals behind the scenes. So if you're wondering, what's the difference? It's actually just, again, a layer that makes it easy for the Fusion team to build websites on top of the Power Apps portal functionality. So when we first introduced the series, right, we talked about what's the difference between portals and pages. We talked about then we'll do things like talk about branding your site and securing your content and connecting to your data. But if you think about it, you can build websites, low code websites with a lot of technologies. And lots of really cool products out there that do that. But the one thing that is unique, I think, about Power Pages is this little bit right here, right? The ability to integrate with the Power Platform and to connect to your business data. So today, let's actually geek out on connecting with your data. So the first thing you should do, if you haven't done so already, and if you haven't done so already, I don't think we can be friends. You should go to powerpages.microsoft.com and sign up for a trial. And once you get there, you'll get something like this. And so you can just kind of go and click on try it for free, put in your email address here and agree and start your free trial. And then what will happen is it'll say something like there's no sites in this environment because you haven't created the site yet. So let's create a site. And there's a little spinning here. There you go. So now we'll get to pick a template. And there's a whole bunch of templates there. And I kind of walked through the templates in a previous demo. But I'm going to pick the after school program registration today. And you can see it's kind of got a different look and feel. But the reason why I want to use this template is because it's got some cool data model that I want to show. So let's pick this template. I'm going to give it a name. And I will click on done. And I've sped this up, by the way, because sometimes it can take a little bit longer, especially when you're trying to demo. All right, and once you're done, it'll say your site is ready, and you can just go and edit the site. So let's do that. So it's pulling up my site. Now what it's doing is actually grabbing kind of all the tables, all the pages, and all the navigation structure that has been put in place for this site. And you can see here on the left, I've got kind of the navigation. I've got a whole bunch of different pages. And then I always have the what you see is what you get experience, right? That rich editor function. Not going to be spending too much time on the rich editor today because, again, we want to geek out on data, right? So let's actually do that. First of all, let's preview the site, show you what kind of experience it has. So all this data that you're seeing here is actually coming from my Dataverse environment. So all my courses, all these grades, all the these categories, that's all coming from Dataverse, and it's connecting in a secure way. And then I can do things like filtering and things like that right from here. There's different pages in that template. So let's just show you an experience where let's say that I'm a parent and I have children. These are my attendees that are attending to my after school programs and things like that. And if I kind of move forward a little bit, we're going to focus today on this experience here because we want to start talking about the data experience, the table experience, and then we'll start showing you on a future session. We'll show you how to create forms and how to customize the look and feel of your things. But here, so I've got a table, and by the way, for the savvy people in the audience who have used Dataverse and who have created views, this is actually directly coming from a view from Dataverse. And so the cool thing about it is if you already have experience with Dataverse, you already know how to create kind of these queries for Power Pages. All right, so let's go behind the scenes. Let's go look at what it looks like. So if I go back to my site editor, you'll see that I have different workspaces here. And if I go in the data workspace right here, I actually see some tables that are already in use in this site. Now, again, this is Dataverse tables, and I've got a contact table, which is probably always going to be there if it's an authenticated site. I got a course table that's got a whole bunch of kind of columns here, and I'm not going to go through the entire columns. And I got a registration table, which is, well, where people or parents have registered their children for courses or where they have registered themselves. So if I go back to the course here, I have kind of cool list of courses that I can use, but let's actually show you that inside of that, I also have access to the views, right? And views are something you can do in Dataverse to select which columns you want to show and to filter and to sort the data you want to show. So in Power Apps portals, what you used to have to do is you used to have to go back to Dataverse to make these customers JSONs. Now we can actually just kind of go in and create a view or create forms to actually expose that data. All right, so let's move forward. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a new table, right? Again, if you're more comfortable going into Dataverse and created the table from there, you can absolutely do that. But here I'm going to create a table, let's say, to store my locations, right? And I can do that directly from within the Power Pages experience. Now, it takes a little bit of time because it's creating the database schema behind the scenes and everything. But eventually, what we should be able to do here is we should be able to start adding records to our table. And I could be fancy here and I could add a whole bunch of columns like address and things like that. But trust me, it is really boring to watch me type all these column names. So I'm just going to enter a few locations here just to show you. And speaking of boring, now you have to watch me type all these locations. And when people watch me type, I usually make extra typos. Like now. All right, one more. That's it. Singapore. Cool. All right, so I've added some locations. Now, let's actually look at what the experience would be to actually add this table in my site. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the page editing workspace. And I'm just going to add a new page. Now, later calls, I'll show you how to use fancy layouts or create your own custom layouts. But for now, we're just going to start with a, let's just pick a blank layout. Let's add this. That way, we're not going to get distracted by all the other fancy stuff. And then you see right away, I've got kind of a menu of components. I'll just pick list. And I have two lists that have already been created for this site. But I want to pick the new table that I've created. So I'll just go locations. And I know there was already a location table in the thing, but the one that has a weird prefix is the one that I just created. And then I'll pick one of the views that were already created. And I'll just do that. And then I'll just call it active location. Sounds good. Now, again, later we'll show you how you can do things like allowing people to create records, viewing details, editing a record, deleting a record if they have permissions to do so. But for now, we're going to skip that. But let's use the fancy search capability. All right. So now I've just dropped my list. And what I should be able to do is I should be able to go preview that. So again, I always click on the preview. By the way, when you make changes to Power Pages or Power Apps portals, it's always a good idea to just do the preview because it forces a refresh. You don't have to do a sync. You don't have to do Control F5. But look what's happening here. It's saying I don't have permissions. I'm pretty sure I have permissions. I'm admin McAdmin face. So I should have permission to that. Let's go take a look at what I forgot to do. If I go back to my setup workspace, I now have the ability to add table permissions. And again, later call, I'll show you how we can actually go dig deep into these permissions. But you see that I have different permissions for different roles in the website to different tables. So let's create a new table permission. I always like to name my permissions the thing that I want people to be able to do. So if I can type, view all my locations or all locations. Now, I'm going to pick the location table. Again, I have to remember the right one. And you'll see here I have an access type. An access type allows me to decide, well, how do I want people to be able to see that data? Global access means every record in the database. Contact access would be records that are only for me. Account access would be records that are related to me and my company. And self-access is just my own record. So I can go change my picture or something like that. So the permission I'll add here as I'll add read, but I could also add read, write, delete if I wanted to. I don't want people to start creating or deleting my locations. And then I can pick who I want to have access to these. So I can say, well, anybody who's just visiting the site and hasn't logged on and authenticated users can actually see this. So let's click on save. And now I should be able to actually go back to my page where I embedded the list. I should be able to just go refresh my preview. And if the demo gods are with me, yay, I now can see the list of records. Now, again, I could have made a fancier view and, added some extra data, but right away I have the ability to do search. I have the ability to view all the records. I can sort things. That's built in. Now, we've barely scratched the surface. We haven't made the list fancy yet. We haven't added personalized permissions. We will do that on a future call. Again, we're trying to make these 15-minute increments. So we'll have tips for the next year to walk with you. I hope this was useful. Keep an eye, by the way, on the release plan, and I'll drop the link in the chat. But there is a release planner that allows you to see all the updates that are coming up within the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. So you can keep an eye on when Power Pages will be released officially as GA. In the meantime, it's in preview. And if you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. David, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugo. Excellent. Thank you to all of our amazing presenters today, Mary, Darren, and Hugo. And a special thank you to all of you for attending as well and making this the best part of the community. Conversations and chat, you are all so amazing. Really appreciate all that you do. Let's take a quick look at some resources. There are a number of resources available here for you that you can take advantage of. We won't go over each one, but you can take advantage of training resources, samples, and more videos, all there for you to take advantage of. So please don't hesitate. There are also additional community calls. There's the Microsoft 365 platform, which occurs weekly starting back up in September. It was on a summer break. This is a weekly call on Tuesdays and is only Microsoft presenters. So you're getting it directly from the mothership, which is fantastic. So don't hesitate to sign up for that. We've got adaptive cards, Microsoft Identity Platform, Office add-ins, Power Platform, which is what you are at now. We've also got Microsoft 365 and Power Platform development and Viva Connections as SharePoint Framework. Those are bi-weekly. Tomorrow is when the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform development is taking place. You can get the recurrent invites for all these at aka.ms/m365/calls. This recording will be available soon within 24 hours at aka.ms/m365pnp/videos. You will not be able to download it from the chat, so if you're unable to, don't worry, we will get it out there. You can subscribe to that YouTube channel today. You'll get alerted as soon as it's available. You can follow us on Twitter at M365Dev, at M365PNP. Our next call, September 21st, 2022, where? Orlando, Florida, at the Power Platform Conference. So we look forward to seeing everyone there, as well as everyone's able to join virtually. You can get the invite at aka.ms/Power Platform Community Call. Thank you, everyone. Again, you are amazing, and we look forward to seeing you next month.